As McMahon and his Connecticut-based WWF attempted to end pro wrestling's regional era in the mid-1980s, Gagne made several decisions that caused his AWA to lose momentum in the emerging wrestling promotion war, including overemphasizing his son Greg Gagne in AWA storylines, and also failing to make Hulk Hogan the top star of his company when he had the chance. Frustrated by Vern Gagne's business decisions, Hogan accepted an offer from rival promoter Vince McMahon to wrestle for the WWF in December 1983. 1 month later, Hogan became the WWF World Heavyweight Champion. He and the WWF soon became a mainstream and medium phenomenon. Hogan wasn't alone in leaving the AWA. Some of the AWA's other top talent, including announcers Ken Resnick and Mean Gene Okerlund, manager Bobby Heenan, and wrestlers Adrian Adonis, Ken Patera, Jim Brunzell, David Schultz, Wendy Richter, and Jesse Ventura also jumped to the WWF. As the AWA required talent to place a 6-week notice upon leaving the company for booking and syndication-based reasons, most of the talent reportedly told Gagne that McMahon offered them more money to not work out their notices and previously scheduled appearance dates, which has been disputed by McMahon today. Of the talent to leave the AWA for the WWF in this time, only Bobby Heenan worked out his notice in good faith to the Gagne family. The sting of the WWF expansion was not shouldered by the AWA alone. The Mid-Atlantic, Georgia, and Florida territories of the NWA also lost top stars such as Rowdy Roddy Piper, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Jack and Jerry Briscoe, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Cowboy Bob Orton, Barry Windham, and Mike Rotundo to the WWF during the same time. Despite this talent raid, the AWA went on to have another successful year in 1984, mainly because of the arrival of the Road Warriors and an angle uniting longtime heel Jerry Blackwell with Greg Gagne and feuding with former manager Sheik Adan Al-Casey. Although aging, most of the AWA's longtime core talent still remained. Stars like Nick Bockwinkel, Ray the Crippler Stevens, The Crusher, Dick the Bruiser, Baron Von Raschke, Mad Dog Vachon, and Larry Hennig were all still active at this time despite all being in their 40s and 50s. In response to McMahon's expansion, the AWA forged an alliance with several NWA promoters, including Jim Crockett Promotions in Charlotte, North Carolina, Mid-South Wrestling in Oklahoma, Pacific Northwest Wrestling in Portland, World Class Championship Wrestling in Dallas, Texas, and the Continental Wrestling Association in Memphis, Tennessee. This new promotion was known as Pro Wrestling USA and came out in an attempt to establish a national presence to compete against the WWF. The AWA was also able to sign top wrestlers like Sergeant Slaughter and Bob Backlund. By 1985, however, the AWA began to lose audiences, as the WWF was gaining wrestling superiority due to the success of WrestleMania 1. Later in the year, as the struggle against the WWF progressed, Wally Carbo also sold his stock to Gagne as well. In September 1985, Pro Wrestling USA would respond to McMahon's rising success by promoting the first Super Clash. Despite the success, the Pro Wrestling USA collaboration did not last. Gagne accused David Crockett of trying to sign away AWA talent over to the NWA backstage at numerous Pro Wrestling USA shows. The AWA released an AWA Remco action figure line with the toy company Remco and a series of 30-minute videos entitled Wrestling Classics, primarily featuring wrestlers such as the Road Warriors, Jimmy Garvin, and world champion Rick Martel. Despite falling behind the WWF and NWA as a major promotion throughout 1986 and 1987, Gagne still managed to find and develop legitimate young talent like Scott Hall, the Midnight Rockers, Bull Power Leon White, the Nasty Boys, and Medusa Michelli. With the retirement of Nick Bockwinkel, Gagne tapped Curt Hennig as his next champion and future with the company. Hennig, a talented and popular second-generation wrestler, defeated Bockwinkel at Super Clash 2. The overall card was relatively weak. The title match was a critical success, although the title change was not without controversy, involving Larry Zbyszko and a roll of dimes. After further review by on-air AWA President Stanley Blackburn, and following weeks of speculation by AWA fans, the decision was upheld and Hennig was the new champion. Gagne pushed Hennig and the Midnight Rockers throughout 1987 into 1988, but the WWF came calling and all three of his top stars would soon be gone. During 1987, in an attempt to remain relevant and survive, Gagne renewed a relationship with Memphis-based promoter Jerry Jarrett and the CWA, and even allowed Mid-Southern Territory legend Jerry the King Lawler to win the AWA World title from Curt Hennig in May of 1988. This was after the AWA flirted for months with the idea of giving Greg Gagne the belt, even awarding the belt to Gagne at a couple house shows only to return it to Hennig on a technicality. It was widely speculated that the idea of the younger Gagne as the heavyweight champion did not play well with AWA fans, who seemed more interested in the involvement of Vern Gagne and Larry Hennig in the feud than they did with Greg Gagne actually winning the title. So Vern decided to go with Lawler instead. Michaels and Jannetty would drop the belts to Bad Company around the same time. Facing financial troubles of their own, World Class Championship Wrestling then allied themselves with the AWA and CWA, and Jerry Lawler would challenge World Class Heavyweight Champion Kerry Von Erich to a title unification match at Superclash 3 in December. Superclash 3 was the AWA's first venture into the pay-per-view market and wrestling's first collaborative pay-per-view between several promotions. However, after months of hype, the end results were somewhat contentious and relatively unsuccessful. Following the event, the collaborative effort was over and Lawler was stripped of the title in January 1989. Lawler kept the AWA title belt and continued promoting himself in Tennessee, Texas, and on the independent circuit as a unified world heavyweight champion. Lawler did this in an attempt to leverage pay-per-view revenue from Gagne that was owed to him, but Gagne never paid him and eventually commissioned a new title belt of similar design. In February 1989, Larry Zbyszko, a one-time employee and Vern's son-in-law, returned to the AWA and won the vacated world title in an 18-man battle royal, eliminating Tom Zink to end the match. It was also during this time that Joe Blanchard replaced Stanley Blackburn as AWA president. Zbyszko's first title reign would last a little over a year. During this time, he would defend the title against Zink, Greg Gagne, Wahoo McDaniel, Ken Patera, Nikita Koloff, Brad Rangans, and the Trooper Del Wilkes. Zbyszko would eventually lose the title to Saito in February 1990 in front of 65,000 fans at the Tokyo Dome at the New Japan All Japan Pro Wrestling Super Show. Zbyszko would regain the title in May 1990 at Superclash 4. During 1989 and 1990, the AWA also pushed Mike Enos and Wayne Bloom as the top tag team. In early 1989, Eric Bischoff, who was performing office work for the AWA at the time and sales and syndication, was placed in front of the camera to replace Larry Nelson as the interviewer and occasional commentator. The AWA was Bischoff's first exposure to the world of pro wrestling. The AWA would become inactive in the fall of 1990. The last television taping occurred on August 11th. As a result, Zbyszko signed with the WCW. As his last official act, Vern Gagne stripped the already departed Zbyszko of the AWA World title in December 1990,